Chief Probation Officer in Dorchester Court. I've been working in Dorchester as a probation officer since 1971. For those of you that don't know, Dorchester is a very complex and a very beautiful place. I wouldn't work anywhere else. It's a great place to work. There are over 29 different dialects spoken by the people of Dorchester. It's a great place to work. It has its problems, problems being crime and poverty and violence, and we deal with that every day. I'm here to recommend Judge Hanlon because the help that I've been given as the Chief Probation Officer by her office has been extraordinary. One of the things that I've learned in the last 38 years in Dorchester is that I don't have any answers, and probation doesn't have any answers, and the criminal justice system doesn't have any answers. So we have to be open to whatever folks might suggest in terms of rehabilitation, because we are in the business of behavior change. Behavior change takes place as a result of a lot of different things. Sometimes it's as a result of a jail sentence. Sometimes it's a result of the women's program. Sometimes it's a result of the Changing Lives Through Literature program or the drug court. But we have to be open-minded enough to try whatever we can in order to help people attain that behavior change that brings about good citizens. And that's what I'm grateful for, is that I've been able to work with a judge who I've known since, about 30 years now. I've been able to work with a judge who's open to innovation, who's open to those types of things. My pet project at the court is the Fatherhood Program. We've been doing a Fatherhood Program in Dorchester for about 10 years. It exists in probably 15 or 20 different courts throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And the aim of the program is to imbue in our defendants, the probationers, the importance and responsibility of fathers over and above that of providing financial support. Financial support is important, but we know that the Department of Revenue and those people are active in trying to get the child support. What we want to do is make sure that young men who are on probation, who have come through the criminal justice system, know how important it is for them to be involved in the lives of their children. And we've had situations where we've had men who have restraining orders against them and who have stay-away orders from their own children. And we tell them how they can work through that. They can work through that through visitation, through the probate court. We always bring in somebody from the probate court to speak to them. We tell them that if they work hard enough, that they will eventually build a relationship with their child, and maybe their child won't have to go through the same trials and tribulations that they've gone through in terms of coming through the criminal justice system. And I think of one name pops up, and he spoke to our group last week. It was a young man by the name of Curtis Carter. Curtis Carter had a restraining order. He had a stay-away order. Curtis Carter was involved in drugs. Curtis Carter never knew his own father. Curtis Carter also spent some time in prison. And Curtis Carter came through the Fatherhood Program. And as a result of that program, now Curtis Carter is one of, I think, one of 2 or 3 people who work for the Division of Youth Services who got a pass on his criminal record because of how he performed through the court. And Judge Hanlon was instrumental in that, in getting him, first of all, into the Fatherhood Program, working through the domestic violence situation that Curtis had gotten himself into, and also in ending his case early, allowing him to be terminated from probation before his time was up, so that he'd have an opportunity to work for the Division of Youth Services. So that's a success story. Those are the types of things that we need in the court. We have to be able to try anything. And I admire Judge Hanlon for the fact that she's allowed us to do things that are sometimes a little bit outside the box, and allowed us to make innovations that somehow help the folks that we work with on a day-to-day basis. I couldn't recommend anyone more highly.
Thank you very much. Before we hear from Judge Hanlon, and who else is going to speak? Steve Patterson. Steve Patterson. Anyone else who wants to speak in opposition? Okay. Your name, sir?
Lawrence Watson.
Lawrence Watson. Okay. Any other folks?
Joe Urenick.
I'm sorry?
Joe Urenick. U-R-E-N-E-C-K.
Go slow again. U-R?
E-N-E-C-K.
Okay.
And Denise Barron is in route.
Denise Barron? Denise, I got it.
Barron, B-A-R-R-A-N-T, I believe.
Oh, and one more that's coming. Doug George is the name.
Okay, so we'll go down this list. I'm sorry.
May I speak in favor of the...
Okay, I didn't have your name on the list.
No, I thought what I do is
Okay,
wait
yeah,
to
sure.
give everybody else a shot.
Okay, you can speak, introduce yourself, and you can speak.
Good morning, everyone. I am retired Judge Hanlon. I'm from Brookline. I was the presiding judge in Brookline for the last 6 years. Let's see. I have been a captain in the Marine Corps, police officer, district attorney, trial lawyer for 35 years, and I've just retired the last 6 months from being the presiding judge of Brookline. Prior to that time, after I see a few councilors here who made a wise choice and recommended me for appointment, and I was appointed by Governor Weld, and within days of my appointment, I was in Dorchester. And I knew Sydney professionally. That was it. And at that time, the Dorchester District Court was a disgrace to the community. It was housed in a used car lot. And the volume of business was unbelievable. The Dorchester District Court is one of the busiest courts in the Commonwealth, as you may know. And it's not just busy, it's guns and gangs and drugs and lots of domestic violence. And at that time in Dorchester, there was Judge Hanlon, newly appointed presiding, Judge Joe Walker, who's now on the Superior Court, and we were soon to be joined by Judge Walker. It was a horrible place. There was one courtroom there that I think Sydney used to stick me in on purpose. It had a big air conditioning, circular machine. The noise was so great you couldn't hear a thing. The defendants were 3 feet from the bench. I'd say you couldn't swing a cat in the room except that Sydney cares about cats. And I remember, in fact, one day, Judge Walker was so incensed at the noise coming in from the corridors because they were in there like sardines, there was no place for them, that he couldn't conduct the trial again. And he went out and he had to put down the guests who were waiting to be heard. It was really, I said, what did I get myself into? But it turns out, 3 years later, they opened the new courthouse, which is gorgeous. And the only problem was the volume of the work had increased, and now we only had 3 judges. There was Judge Hanlon, Judge Miller, and myself. And we were tremendously understaffed in terms of the judiciary. And we were doing a volume of work between the 3 of us that in all fairness required 5 and maybe a 6th judge. I have to tell you that even though it was exhausting, those were some of the happiest days.